We take a lot of heat over live bait, especially in freshwater. Saltwater, no one seems to care for some reason, but freshwater, if it's applicable and we're doing really well with it, we will use it. What's your thoughts on live bait? I don't know if I'm actually supposed to drop the ball on this or not yet, but I am anyway, Chris, because Jerry is away on vacation. NJFishing.com, the number one resource in freshwater and saltwater fishing for 27 years in the state of New Jersey. We are going to throw another Christmas party. NJFishing.com and Multispecies Mayhem. We are moving it to a bigger venue. We're going to start working on it next week. So the date will be coming out.
God, really? Next week?
Well, next week we're going to start to work on the date so we can get a save the date out so there won't be as many excuses this year when you can't come because you had to go to your mom's card game or whatever. But yeah, we're going to start working on it. The Christmas party is coming. It is moving to a much bigger venue that is going to fit many more people. So NJFishing.com and Multispecies Mayhem Christmas Party coming. If you're not a member of NJFishing.com, it is free. Please go and sign up because you're going to need to be a member to come to the Christmas party. Just like last year, that Christmas party has more prizes than people, and it does include a trip onto Chuck Manny's boat. It's one of the only tickets to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory is that Christmas party. So NJFishing.com.
Dude, let's be honest. It's harder to not win anything there than it is to win something.
Listen, if you don't like us and you don't like NJFishing.com and you don't like Multispecies Mayhem or this podcast or Chris, you should still come try to win the Chuck Manny trip just for that. And then when that raffle's over, you leave. Right?
Sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah, basically. Well, you could stay for Fishmonger, too. There's usually a Fishmonger one. A lot of good prizes. Just kidding around. But, yeah, the Chuck Manny one, it's hard to get to get on Chuck's boat because he's not a charter, but that's one of the ways on. So, NJFishing.com. Become a member. Hello and welcome to episode number 72 of the NJ Multispecies Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Santiago. As always, my partner, Chris Pereira.
What's up?
Tonight, our guest is a very well-known podcaster by the name of Joe Cermele. He is the host of Cut Retie. We've actually wanted to get Joe on here for a while. He is finally coming on. He'll be here momentarily. Chris, we had a very busy weekend. We had to cram a lot of stuff into Saturday, but it all turned out to be unbelievably awesome. I mean, it was all great. We were tired, but it was all just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't say enough nice things about the Round Valley Trout Association's Veterans Appreciation Tournament. I know you got to do it last year. And I had already committed to Salmon River trip, so I wasn't around. But
yeah, I have.
It was awesome.
Give a shout out, Mike Connery, RVTA president, Andy Laffey. He has a huge part to play with all the veterans and in running that event. One part of the event that I thought was really cool was one of the vets me and Chris was taking out, Ray. I had taken him last year. And Ray, he's 80 years old, and he broke his leg maybe like 6 months ago. So he shows up to the tournament, 6 a.m. He's stumbling, or not stumbling, but he's standing in the parking lot with a walker. And I have a 16-foot boat. It's not that big. It's already me, Chris, and Andy still. And I'm saying in my head, all right, he has a walker. This isn't going to be comfortable for him. So they actually found him a spot on another boat, like a big pontoon boat where he could comfortably, go on with his walker and have no problem. And they went up to him and told him that. And he said, no, I want to go with the guy I was with last year. And I'm like, really? I went over. I'm like, Ray, you'll be a lot more comfortable, on the other. No, I want to go with you. And I went off. I was just like, that's so awesome. This guy remembers who I am, and he wants to come back. Last year the fishing wasn't that good either. We caught like 2 small rainbows, but he still wanted to come with me again. Thought that was awesome. So he'll continue to come with me, hopefully every year that I take part in that event, and we're both still here. But yeah, unbelievably overwhelming and just a great day. Andrew Still, we had a blast with him, talking to him. They both got to reel in tons of fish each. They've caught every species in the lake. Ray lost a monster. Well, not a rock bass. Ray or any bass for that. But we don't count that anyway. But Ray lost a monster catfish. It got caught on the downrigger wire and came off, and he was bummed, right, Chris? He didn't talk for like 10 minutes.
He was kind of pissed, which is, I mean, it's cool. It just shows that, like, they're into it.
They are into it. But I had to tell him, Ray, it's a trout contest. The catfish isn't gonna. I want it anyway. It was a monster.
Yeah, he didn't care. Yeah, that was cool though. And what I thought would have been funny, he said afterwards, I said, "Damn, I wish we landed that fish." And we just had like Ray just walk it up to the weigh-in station and just slam it down on the weigh table and just be like, "Well, weigh my fish. It identifies as a trout. Just weigh it." Like just straight face. Just I make him weigh the catfish.
And he just throws the catfish in the white weight thing. It'd be hilarious. I also want to give a shout out to Kevin Glenn. As much as I don't want to give a shout out to him, I'm going to. Kevin Glenn just recently bought his first 2 lead core setups. He's fairly new to trolling Round Valley, but he still had the guts to volunteer his time and take some vets out. He struggled in the beginning, but towards the end, he ended up having the vet put a nice fish in the boat. So.
I did hear his vet, which I think the vet was his cousin. So I think he kind of tried to play it safe with that.
Well, the point of the story is people like that need to get involved. Kevin, is he totally outfitted to fish that lake? No, not yet. He's slowly building the spread, but if there was more people there like Kevin, there's more vets that we'd be able to take out. So you don't have to, it's not about trying to win. So hats off to Kevin for having the guts to take a shot, and he did a good job, pulled it off, and the vet hooked some nice fish. That's what it's all about.
I'm going to ruin everything you just said because his cousin leaned over to me when they were doing their awards, and he said, "Why couldn't I get it on a boat like that?"
Which boat did he point at?
When they were handing out the awards, I think he would have taken anyone.
Well, yeah, me too. I would have left my boat to go on one of those myself. But
congratulations to the vet that got to ride with Mike Herman from Yellow Dog Paddle. They're the ones that won it.
Yeah, Mike Herman's getting on my nerves because it's starting to seem like he paid me off to just continuously talk good about him all the time. But I'm not lying, for real. This guy is just, the consistency keeps coming. He won again. His vet on his boat won.
Yeah, that vet's name, by the way, was Scott Goodroad.
He's not a live scoper, and he just continues to Jason Uhas, the pig roast happened. I got to meet Jason Uhas, and we're going to talk about the pig roast actually after this. But Jason Uhas just recently went out with Mike Herman and said it was fantastic, said Mike was awesome, said the trip was unbelievable. Now Jason's asking me all kinds of questions about lead core and trolling, and now he wants to try to kind of get into it. So, I mean, that's how stuff just... Yeah, you could talk them out of it realistically, but I got into that fever. Look at how much stuff I bought, and now it's all available for sale. By the way, if you want to troll, just side message.
I mean, the best way to describe the whole trolling game is like it's when that's the tactic that is the best tactic to use. Like when you're fishing open water for trout and stuff, you just can't really beat it. It's very hard to beat. Like it's the best way to target these fish. But like you're gonna end up just having so much gear. You're gonna oh god, and like the learning curve, cut the learning curve any way possible. Like go out with guys that know what they're doing, that have already went through the learning curve. That's my advice.
I can't even imagine how much money I spent on rod holders. Not even fishing gear. I'm just talking rod holders to put the rods in. Like they're just ridiculous. How many are there? There's 14 of them. It's ridiculous.
And I think we got into it on that episode, so I won't get into it again. But people think, it's like anything else. Like it's like the slip bobbers. It's like the live bait. People trolling, same thing. Guys that don't do it think, oh, you're just trolling 10 rods. Anyone could do that. If I buy 10 rods and put them out the back of the boat with planer boards, I could catch all these fish too. And it's just ridiculous.
It doesn't work that way. But I could tell you that I could save myself a ton of money by just never buying all that shit. And I'll just go out 3 times a year with Yellow Dog Paddle. It's much cheaper to do it that way. Because I probably only go once or twice a year because it's such a pain in my ass. But if I could just jump on someone else's boat with all their shit, I'll go more often. It's just the way it is. And same thing with saltwater. Same reason I would never own a saltwater boat. I would just book 700 charters like Frank Mahalik does. I don't have to clean it or fix anything that ever breaks.
That's the way to do it, dude. I'm right with you. You could hand me a bag of unlimited money, and I still wouldn't buy a saltwater boat. If I bought one, it would have to come with a guy who's in charge of everything about it. Like they have to care for it. They have to maintenance on it.
A lot of people bust my balls about that all the time online. Like, does he ever use his own boat? Like, I live an hour away. If somebody invites me on their boat, I'm going, I'm not going to say, no, I want to take my own boat so I could look really cool because it's my boat. But we do have, it looks like Joe Cermele is ready to come in. So we are going to get our guest in. We are going to cut.
Yeah, let's get the.
So Yellow Dog Paddle, once again, he beat me on Round Valley in the Veterans Tournament. He continues to just beat me in Skillful Anglers, too. He hasn't touched my brown trout yet, though. My brown trout still stands, but I'm sure it's on his hit list. He'll probably get it eventually.
I think I'm going to try to take that out, too.
Jason, whatever. Jason Uhas had a phenomenal trip. Loved Mike. Not much more. Like I said, I've been dying to post a bad report from Yellow Dog Paddle, but I just have not been able to get my hands on one yet because his consistency is ridiculous. But call Yellow Dog Paddle today if you're looking to do a trolling trip on Round Valley right now. The fall bite on the trout's unbelievable. Me and Chris fished it the other day. We're basically hooked up the entire time. Like we said, Yellow Dog Paddle won the whole thing. So, yeah, if you're interested, call Yellow Dog Paddle. So our next guest has been in the professional fishing industry for 19 years, Jersey born and bred, Mr. Joe Cermele, the host of Cut Retie, a very well-known multinational podcast, fishing podcast. Joe Cermele, welcome to the NJ Multispecies Podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys. This is cool. I'm an NJ multi-species angler, so this is only fitting. We've been working on this for a while, but finally we've pulled it together. You also said multinational. I think I have like 4 fans in Australia, but that counts. So I'm going to go with that. That's okay.
That's all you need. Even if it was just one, you could say that. I think
couple in England, it works.
Joe, that's one of the things that makes you interesting is you are a multi-species angler like us. You seem to have the same obsession. You won't continuously fish for the same thing. Every time you post a picture, it's another species. Is that how you feel mostly about fishing? You just have to chase what's over the next hill?
I don't know if it's so much chasing what's over the next hill. It's just sort of what I'm in the mood for, and I can be in the mood for anything. So, yeah, I mean, I am certainly a multi-species guy, but I think it's more so that I've never been pigeonholed into one particular thing, right? Like I love all things. Like I love soaking a shiner under, and the next day I might go fly fish. I've always been very open to all different methods, and I love all different kinds of methods. I love learning different methods. So it's just sort of what I'm in the mood for. It's not necessarily chasing another thing.
I think that's like the perfect answer. And I've tried to imagine sometimes like these guys that there's guys that will only fish for one species, right? And I try to put myself in their head sometimes. It's like if they actually do feel every time they have, oh, I'm going to go fishing, and every time they're going to go fishing, I want to target this specific species and it's the same species every time. If they really do feel that way, then I like more power to them. Right.
Yeah.
That thought process is mind boggling to me. I can't wrap my head around it.
You know what though, Chris, I feel the same way, man. Like if you are a musky guy or a striper guy, like rock and roll, like you do you. Now I will get on these sort of jags where like I can't leave one thing alone for an extended period of time. I just got off the water snakehead fishing 2 hours before we fired this up, right? And so I'm like looking at the calendar, looking at the temperatures, and I'm like, that's gonna stop soon. And I'm like insanely obsessed with those fish. So I'm in that period of the late summer where I'm trying to get in as much of that as I possibly can before that dries up. But it'll go away, and then it'll be winter brown trout season and striper season and tog, and life goes on, and I'll be having just as much fun doing those things. So,
yeah, and I know guys that in that same scenario, like let's say it's snakeheads, and then when that season ends and it gets to the point where, and I don't know that much about snakehead fishing, but like you just kind of implied, there's a time where it becomes, I don't want to say impossible, but there's a season where you're really it's not gonna be fruitful to go after them anymore. And these guys that only target this specific species, when it comes a time that they can't target that species successfully anymore, they don't fish. They don't switch gears. They just don't.
Yeah. And one of the best things about growing up in New Jersey and living in the Northeast is the opportunities change throughout the season, and I actually don't mind how some things sort of shut off and then like a new door opens. To me, that keeps it interesting throughout the year,
Oh, yeah.
How do we take a lot of heat over live bait, especially in freshwater. Saltwater, no one seems to care for some reason, but freshwater, if it's applicable and we're doing really well with it, we will use it. What's your thoughts on live bait?
I use live bait all the time, man. I mean, look, it's like this, right? Is that necessarily the first thing I want to do when I'm leaving the house? No, but certain times of year, like especially as it gets colder, like in the winter, or if I'm taking my kid out, especially, right? Like, I don't know, maybe I'm weird. There'll be days, in December or January, assuming we have no ice, which we haven't in, I don't know, 10 years now. So like, we have North Carolina winter now. So whatever, it's like, it's open water year round. So like if I'm going out there in the cold in December or January and just have a few hours to kill, I can get extremely excited about just buying 2 dozen big shiners and going out there with a balsa float and catching my pickerel or bass or whatever wants to eat that way. So it might not be the thing I default to first. But I have no problem with that at all. It doesn't bother me in the slightest.
I actually, and Joe will back me up on this. Like I hate it. I hate using live bait, but if it's what I believe is the best tactic, I'm doing it. And there's just certain scenarios where what you can do with live bait and whatever the scenario is, there's certain scenarios you can't do it with a lure. You can't do with a lure what you can with a live bait setup.
Sometimes. I mean, yeah, I mean, I agree with that to an extent. I mean, sometimes that's certainly the case that live bait will always be the best. I feel like that happens more where we live in freshwater than saltwater, particularly when you look at I do a lot of pickerel fishing in the winter. Great example. Shiners are great, right? But I can't cover as much water fishing a shiner under a bobber as I can with a fluke. So most of the time, I'll just walk a couple miles of a lake shore or one of the canals around here and just throw a fluke. And if I catch two, great. But in that scenario, man, I don't know. It's like shiners are meant to be put in a specific spot where the fish are going to be. You can't cover water the same way with live bait.
What part of Jersey is like your part? Like you're a little more south than us, right?
Trenton. So I grew up in Lawrenceville, New Jersey, right outside of Trenton. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, well, so let's go back. I want to go back through your history a little bit because it's pretty interesting. You start out as just a normal angler, right? You're just a regular fisherman.
I still don't know if I'm a normal anything, but okay. Yeah.
You may not be normal, but you're just like your average Joe fisherman. Now you start writing. Is that where it starts? You start doing writing for the outdoors?
Yeah, sort of. I mean, to take a deeper dive into that, very quickly, when I was going to college, I graduated in 2005. I always loved to write my whole life, creative writing, poetry, whatever, throughout grade school and middle school. I always really enjoyed writing. But what I really wanted to go to school for was recording technology. I wanted to record punk bands for a living. And that didn't really work out. So when it was becoming that time when you're thinking about college, I realized that the music thing was not really for me, mostly because in order to get into those programs, you had to be able to read music and stuff, which I couldn't. You know what I mean? I just played in basement bands. And so tryouts did not go well. They were like, can you play this? I'm like, no, I can't. So I realized quickly, that's not my track. So I went to school for journalism just because I like to write and figured, okay, there's a start. I'm not going to be a novelist or a poet or anything, but journalism makes sense. And it really wasn't until I was in college and sort of forced to go, okay, well, what do I do with this? It's like, well, what are your two things? What do you love? Playing music and fishing. They were the two constants in my life. And I went the fishing route and, started with an internship with an old magazine called New Jersey Angler that I got while I was still in college and went from there. So that's really where it started for me in college.
And now it eventually leads to hook shots. Hook shots, I remember, when that came out, of course you had fishing shows on TV, but when hook shots came out, you were watching this shit and you were saying, wow, this is New Jersey, these videos. Hook shots was like the coolest. Do you just want to touch real quick on how hook shots came about? And
Sure. And the funny thing about hook shots, man, it's been, that was 11 years. Somehow I managed to produce, host, edit, find all the music. That show was me top to bottom. I did everything. And somehow that had a lifespan of just over a decade, which I still don't believe. And ironically, despite everything I've done since, and I'm very proud of all of it, the things that I made while I was at Meat Eater, certainly Cut and Retie is my baby now, and I'm very happy doing that. I've come to the realization at 41 years old that hook shots, man, like that left its mark. I hear about hook shots more than anything else that I've ever done.
Well, you wouldn't believe the emails that we got when we put the post up asking for questions. Probably the most common question over and over again is ask him to bring hook shots back. Ask him, is he bringing back hook shots?
Yeah, sure. It wasn't. If there was nothing to ask you, it was tell him to bring hook shots back.
Hook shots.
And I'm happy to talk about that. I talk about it a bunch, and I know that's something people want. We can talk about that. But to answer your original question, at the time I was writing for Field and Stream. I had just become the fishing editor of that magazine. And I was a pretty good photographer. I had a decent camera. I was shooting all my own pictures for my magazine articles. And one Christmas, my dad was like, "What do you want?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Give me a video camera." He's like, "Why?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't have one." It was as simple as that. So I got a camcorder for Christmas one year, and I'm like, "Well, I got this. Now what the hell do I do with it?" So I just started playing around, and I found out that I really enjoyed messing around with editing. I taught myself that. I mean, not that I was particularly good at it. Like I used iMovie. I had whatever was on my computer. So, you know, it was also a timing thing that was sort of that era when you were really transitioning hard over to digital, you know. So print was king, and everybody always had a website, but it was right around that 2008 timeframe when all these brands, Field and Stream, Outdoor Life, all these national brands really realized, I think, that we have to devote some serious energy to our digital presence. So the editor-in-chief, Anthony Licata, great buddy of mine. I owe him a lot because he was very open to the idea of like, well, just try something. See if that works. Like, you want to try that? You're passionate about that? Try that. So I went to him and I said, can I just start making a fishing show for our website? And he's like, yeah, go ahead, go for it. And if it works, cool. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But, you know, keep it cheap. Don't spend a ton of money and go have fun. And 11 years later, here we are. You know, we ran for 11 years, and all these years later, here we are, and we're still talking about hook shots now. So
hook shots. Oh yeah, it's a staple. Okay, so now from hook shots, we know you eventually move on and become an editor at Meat Eater. Meat Eater, basically, for me, I'm a huge like fanboy of Meat Eater. He's like the pinnacle of the. I just love the guy. So yeah. that. Actually, I think when I first pitched the idea of this podcast to Chris, and he was like, "Oh, it's impossible. It's not going to work." I used you as an example. I said, "No, this guy Joe Cermele, he did this. He pulled this off." I think I said
mispronounce your name. Yeah, he did.
Joe Cermele. I did use him as an example. I said, "This guy did it from South Jersey. We can do it from North Jersey."
Can we just clarify very quickly? Because I feel like this is that rift that Jersey people have. I am from Central New Jersey, damn it. New Jersey does exist.
You're
okay. Trenton is not South
You're
Jersey.
From Philadelphia. Are you an Eagle fan?
No, I'm a nothing fan. I don't do sports, period.
I got a better question. When you order a breakfast sandwich, not bacon, not sausage, what do you order?
I order I order pork roll, which is the proper name. Okay,
you're from South Jersey.
You're from Lancaster.
He just keeps ranging farther west. That's all right. That's okay. Look, I know exactly who I am, and I know your Taylor ham package says pork roll. It says Taylor pork roll.
Look,
right underneath it.
I know what Taylor ham is, but I clean my ears with a Q-tip, not a cotton swab, too.
Right. Yeah. But it's still a cotton swab. You can call it what you want. That's still what it is. There's Cases. There's Case is another brand down here. George Case pork roll, just like Taylor.
I'm all right with you calling it pork roll, but you got to be all right with me calling it Taylor ham.
All right, he's from Central Jersey. All right, now
you call it what you want. Just don't tell me Trenton's in South Jersey because the governor declared there's a center. Damn it, and that's where I'm from.
Okay, we'll go with that.
All right,
so now,
fair.
You move on and you decide. What makes you decide that you're going to go, like, from the evolution of all this that you went through, especially being an editor? What makes you make that decision where you're now going to go from no more hook shots, no more writing, I'm going to podcasting? What makes that happen?
Well, it's not quite that cut and dry. First of all, I mean, I'm still writing. To this day, I still write a ton. I still have freelance contracts with Outdoor Life. I still write for Field and Stream, Angler's Journal. So writing has never stopped. And I did, a bunch of writing when I was at Meat Eater. But, really, I had been there a very long time. By then, I'd been there since I had graduated college, and I loved every minute of it. But, still being fairly young, you seize opportunities. And what attracted me to Meat Eater was that they put personality-driven media forward and first, whereas at Field and Stream, and this is not a knock against them, hook shots always sort of, I want to say, took a little bit of print was king, and the Field and Stream brand was king. And as you guys know, I'm sure you grew up reading Field and Stream, that always had a certain air about it, as it should have. You know what I mean? It was a very high-class, well-done magazine out of New York City. Hook shots and me, saying cuss words and stupid shit, it was a bit of a black sheep for Field and Stream, So it worked there, and it certainly had its following. But the personality driven media where like the person matters more than the brand behind it was not really how they operated at the time, right? It was all about just the brand. We uplift the brand. Whereas Meat Eater sort of had this notion, I think smartly at the time, where we want people to care about you first. We want you to be the thing they care about. And then by default, if they like you and they're attracted to you and what you're making, well, then they like our brand. So really, I still write a ton and I've never fallen out of love with writing. But at that time, yes, video and podcasting. There was a Hookshots podcast too that I produced myself for 2 years. That was there too. I was very much enjoying those kinds of medium, right? So I saw Meat Eater as an opportunity to go somewhere where those would be first. It wouldn't be like, well, you can do these things once you get all your magazine work done or once this gets done. It's like, no, at Meat Eater, the podcasting, the video content, that is priority. That is your job first and foremost. And I really embraced that. You know, I believed in that model, and I still believe we live in a time where, frankly, personality beats brand. You know, I think people in this day and age, I'm sure you guys agree, people are attracted to people before a brand when it comes to what kind of media they consume, who they read, who they watch, who they listen to. It's the personality first.
Almost like they want to like feel like they're a part of it, like a connection to it.
Sure. I mean, there's a community element to that. I mean, and that's always one of the things that I thought that I was best at. If you really broke down, like, why did Hookshots work? Why does Cut Retie work? Dude, neither of those things, right? As much as people love Hookshots and Cut Retie, neither of those things had hundreds of thousands of followers nor millions of views. If you go look at Hookshots views on YouTube now, and they've been up there for over a decade, they pale in comparison to the Guggen Squad or, you know, these big YouTube personalities that put all their eggs into that YouTube basket. I have always thrived on a very core and loyal following, and I'm okay with that. I have always said I would rather talk to a room of 10,000 people that are really interested in what you have to say and want to be there than a room of 10 million people where the vast majority of them could kind of take or leave you. They're just sort of there in passing. So I've always believed in building community around what you do, making people feel like, hey, we're all here together, man. We're all friends. We're all part of a club. Hookshots did that, and I believe Cut Retie is doing that now.
Yeah, and that's like, and like I hope we're doing that as well. I mean, we're obviously a lot newer to this than you, but I feel like that's kind of what we were going for as well. Like, that's the coolest part of any of this. It's not the social media aspect. I mean, if I'm going to be honest, I hate the social media aspect. It's just something that like you have to do to be, you know, it's just part of the whole thing. But the cool part of all of it is the people, the characters, like the camaraderie, and, you know, that's the part that sticks. That's the part I like.
Yeah. See, and I completely agree with you because I'm a weirdo about social media. I'll tell you a funny story real quick. I really, truly enjoy social media, but I think I'm like one of the last people that uses it for its intended purpose. Like, the only reason I am there is for the people who watch and listen to me, and we communicate there. You message me and people are like, I can't believe you messaged me back. I'm like, dude, I message everybody. That's kind of what this was for, right? To have a relationship outside of your core media, your podcast, videos, whatever, where you could talk to people who are into what you're doing. I love that aspect. So I guess what I'm trying to say is if I ever got out of this and wasn't doing podcasts or any of this stuff anymore, I'm not so sure I would be there. And the funny story is a couple months ago, I shared. Now I don't chase Reels views on Instagram, right? But I post some for the same reason. Like, this is just for my followers, whatever.
Yeah.
And I posted this random video where I was surf fishing at night, and I thought I caught a striper, but when I reeled it in, the plug comes flying out of the water at my face, and it turns out that it looped. One of the hooks on my plug looped through a leader through the loop of a leader, and the leader was going to a circle hook in a striper's mouth. And that's what I reeled in. That's how I connected. I just put this video up. I was like, can you guys believe this? How weird. Somehow that got 6 million views, which is cool. And that's what everybody dreams of, right? Everybody who posts a reel on Instagram, that's what you want.
Right.
And I'm like, well, this is kind of neat, except all it did was invite people from outside of this really niche little circle that I've spent all these years building. And it's like, I don't really need you here, man. You know what I mean? Like I do. I like my core group of people. Like that's what we're there for. That's why I do social media.
They don't really follow either. Like you'll have, 3 million views and gain 200 followers. Like they don't follow it.
And I mean, I guess the silver lining, not to get off on social, because it's what, if you gain a couple hundred followers from a reel that does 6 million, maybe it's probably a low percentage, right, that are going to take the time to then follow through and listen to your podcast or my podcast. You hope there's one or two, but actually, follows from like a funny reel or a viral reel, to me, are kind of worthless, because I want people that want to be there, that want to interact, that like what I do, and we can chit chat about it. That's who I want there.
It's a really good point.
Right. Yeah. Like you want the people that are going to interact with you. You don't like someone that's just going to, I don't know, just sit there and like, there's guys on like, what do we got? Our Instagram is up to what? 13,000. How many of those people talk to us? 100, 75.
Max and Kevin, 2 of them.
And it's like, how many of those are Russian bots that are just like trying
they're not Russian bots. Get out of here.
There's some countries. Bots.
My favorite personal part of Cut and Retie's social media is the Polaroids. I love when you pop one of those old school Polaroids up with the little logo. Those are cool as hell. I'd imagine eventually you're going to run out of those though, because you don't have an infinite supply of them.
I don't, but I'll tell you what, I have enough where it's going to take a damn long time.
That's cool. Spread them out, because I want, I really enjoy seeing those. They're cool as hell.
I'm not spreading them out though, because I do a Polaroid of the Week segment in the show every single week. So when you see those every week, I post one every single Friday, because that's the promo for that week's show. So every week on the show, what I do is I pick one and then I rewrite the backstory, make up a new backstory for the photo. And that's one of my weekly segments. So yeah, it is a finite amount. It's going to take a while. And my hope is that long before we ever get close to running out of those, because I ping people all the time. I'll ping you and your listeners right now. You know a tackle shop going out that's sitting on a dusty box of Polaroid? I'm a buyer. Like I'll pay money for them, because I can't see these things go in the trash. That's why I have them. In 2 instances, they were going to get tossed. And I said, that's iconic fishing history. You can't find these things anymore. So I'm like the keeper of the Polaroid flame or something.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's unique too. Super unique.
Yeah, I like that. I can't. I wish I could supply Polaroids, but by the time I started fishing, it wasn't a thing anymore. So I don't have any old Polaroids.
So no, but if you're running into a tackle shop where like guys going out of business, ask. You pay, I pay you. You can even upcharge me. So just keep that in mind.
So how do you, Joe? One of my pet peeves is, and I might sound like a weirdo for this, but like everyone's talking about the community, bringing people together. A lot of these shows and shit, you'll see the name and it'll be like blah 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 with blah blah. Like they had to put their name on it. Like it would be Cut and Retie with Joe Cermele.
Yeah.
Like I feel like as soon as you do that, you're just showing me that like you're not interested in community. You're just interested in stamping your name right on. Am I wrong?
I don't know. I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I have never really done that. I've never felt the need to, though. But
you never have.
I'd love to say that was a conscious decision. Not really. I still oddly, after all these years, look at what I do. Like, look, straight up. So anybody who's into what I do, I still am like, why? I can't believe it. Like after all these years, I'm like, I can't believe this many people like my like blubbering every week. And we're still talking about hook shots, which at the time I was like, what the hell am I doing? Like I'm just running around with a pack of cigarettes and a camcorder all over the country. And like somehow this works. So I'm still humbled by all of this, truly. Like I can't believe it. So I don't think that was a conscious decision. I just probably, if anything, it was subconscious going like, dude, who are you? Like, don't throw your name out there. You know what I mean? Like, nobody knows who you are when you're making hook shots. So what is the appeal of saying hook shots with Joe Cermele? Just call it something cool. I've always said that really, and this ties to it really. I grew up playing in bands. I wanted to do that. I always thought that, maybe that was my calling, a metal band or a punk band that got really big or something. Didn't happen, right? But, I realized people are like, do you still play music? And no, I don't, other than fooling around with my kids or something. And they're like, well, why? I'm like, because I was never interested in jamming. Like, I wasn't the kind of musician that loves just playing so much that I'll make the time in my life to get together with the guys and just jam for nobody to hear it. No, I like the whole package. I like to write songs. I like trying to book gigs, silk screening T-shirts, coming up with logos, recording demos, trying to make it, if you will, right? So I love the totality of that. And I've transferred that love to Hook Shots and then to the Bent podcast at Meat Eater and now to Cut Retie. I look at it like my band. So I don't know, man. I like cool band names, like, good for Eric Clapton, but like, you're just like, well, here's Eric Clapton. Like, no, man, have a cool band name, So that's kind of how I treat what I do. Like Cut Retie and Hook Shots, those are my bands now, if that makes any sense.
It does.
I get it. Yeah, it's like I guess you got to walk the line though, because you want to interact with people. You want people to know who you are in case they want to talk to you and stuff like that. But we're in the same boat. Like the guy that produces our stuff, he wanted to put our names on it, and we just double vetoed that. Yeah, yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, Deuce wanted to put our names. He wanted to NJ multispecies with Chris and Joe.
So you need to put a picture of Joe on your dresser and just wake up every morning and look at it and say, it is possible. Just keep making episodes. Just keep going. Just keep pushing.
Look, like I said, the best part of this is meeting the people. And yeah,
absolutely.
You get a rotten apple now and then. We'll just leave it at that. But a vast majority, it's just awesome. You get to fish with, like, look at all the guys we get to fish with, and you get to travel around. Just stuff you wouldn't get to do.
But I still view it as a lot of these guys have big money behind them. They have big property. They have huge backings. This is a person that picked up a camcorder and a fishing rod, and this is now where he is. That's what he's a normal person. He's not. I don't know how to explain it. It's just
we're still talking about me, right?
I am talking about you. Yeah, you picked up a camcorder and a fishing rod, and here we are 11 years later, and look what it's done.
Yes. However, okay, we have to be fair about this. That's not wrong. Like that story, like that is how Hook Shot started. I got a camcorder. My job didn't buy that for me. My dad did, and I just took that upon myself. But I still constantly, the number one question I get, dude, when are you going back into video? Will there ever be Hook Shots again? And my answer to that is I would very much like there to be. I would. Like I really would. But the fact remains, though, that when I worked for Field and Stream and then when I worked for Meat Eater, they were the bank. They had money. Hook Shots didn't cost a lot of money to make. It was a very low budget deal. But it still cost money, man. It was still plane tickets and hotel rooms and food and time out of the office. For most of that, I had no kids yet. I was in my 20s, running around doing that in my 20s.
Yeah.
So, for starters, and I'll be straight with you guys. Part of the reason why I was interested in being independent, as I am now, is because when you make something like that for someone else, You don't own it. So there will probably never be a Hook Shots reboot, at least called Hook Shots, because I don't own that name. Field and Stream owns that name because they bankrolled that. And because I was a full-time employee, that's theirs. That doesn't get to come with me. Likewise, my podcast now, I couldn't just keep doing the Bent podcast. I don't own that name. MeatEater owns that name. So that's just one of those sort of behind-the-scenes media things that when people ask these questions, not that they would know, but they don't. They don't think about that. I can't just go make Hook Shots again because then I'll get sued, and I don't feel like dealing with that, you know? Now, does that mean that there couldn't be a very similar show with me and Captain Eric Kerber? Absolutely. But now, as an independent, somebody has to fund that. That still costs. I still got the camcorder. That's not the problem. Camcorder's right in the closet behind me. I got GoPros. I got camcorders. I got all that stuff. What I don't have is the same kind of time you had in your 20s, because now I got 2 little kids and a lot more to do, you know. God, I'd be gone two months a week, you know, or 2 weeks a month on the regular back in those days. That would be extremely difficult to do. So it needs funding. Somebody has to pay. And even if I could get somebody to help with that portion, okay, where does this live? You know, do I start a new YouTube channel? That's a grind. I'm trying to avoid that like the plague. I mean, it's coming horrible. In as a newbie on YouTube, very difficult.
We did that. It's terrible.
You know,
we can vouch for that.
Yeah. You know, I mean, it doesn't matter how many people loved Hook Shots. If I start a new show and just throw it out there on YouTube, that Hook Shots format is not what wins on YouTube. You know, people might like it, but you're not going to grow doing 8 videos a year. You have to feed that machine constantly. So then if you say, well, okay, we'll put it on Amazon, put it on Netflix or something. Even if I could do that, now we have to deal with legal, right? Now I need release forms, location permits, all these things that in the, you know, ignorance is bliss stage of Hook Shots, we didn't know or care about. Dude, I'd walk right into a Denny's, order a Moons Over my Hammy, and fire that shit right up on the waitress. Did anything ever happen? No. But we didn't know you weren't really supposed to do that. Well, to have a show on Amazon Prime or something, they want all the legal check marks, which makes the process so much less fun and so much less punk rock. So is there a window down the road where I could see a series like that coming together? Yes. But those are all the things that need figuring out. Who pays? Where does it live? How do you find the time when you have a family? You know, that was a sort of a different era. And a funny thing about it too is when I went to MeatEater, I had it in my head. I was like, don't ever talk about Hook Shots again. You know, like that's the past, man. Like you did that, that's done. Talk about what you're doing now. And it wasn't until I started Cut Retie that I realized like all of that is you. It doesn't matter if that's over. Like all of those things are part of who you are and where you've come to now. So now every turn I'm like, dude, you should go watch this. Like, yeah, it's still there. It's still on YouTube. I don't know how long. I assume indefinitely. Field and Stream could theoretically pull all that stuff at any time, but right now, you know, all 11 years are there. Hell yeah! Like I'm proud of that. Go watch that. But as for redoing it, I don't know. Maybe like those are all the obstacles you're up against. You know.
Yeah, when you lay it all out like that, I mean, yeah, I get it. It makes sense. And it's stuff that you don't really think about, like from the outside in, and like we you know. It's not even stuff that we think about. We just do local stuff, and it's nothing obviously to the caliber of what you were doing. But you know, you mentioned YouTube, and we just we go fishing. We're going to fish as much as we can anyway. Now we just film some of it or a lot of it, I guess, and we throw it up there because people like to see it. People like to interact with it, and just like you had mentioned before. You try to respond to every single person that asks a question or even has a comment, and we try to do the same thing.
Yeah,
and because I think that's the coolest part of any of this, really.
I find that incredibly important. You know, like you see that with people with these huge followings. Even if you just, you know, hit the heart on their comment, it just lets somebody know I saw it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's, it's, and that's important to me. That has always mattered to me. I've always wanted to be approachable. I've never wanted to get to a point where it's like people think like, well, I'll never hear from that guy. No, God, I hope I don't want that at all. So it's funny because again, in this business, everybody is, and a lot of businesses, everybody's striving to be the biggest thing. Bigger, more. God, like I hope I don't get to the point where I can't respond to my DMs. You know what I mean? I don't really want that.
There's
love
a lot
the
of jealousy
community aspect.
No, there's a lot of like just mindless attacking just over jealousy. It's just like it's infuriating sometimes. That's why I just ignore it.
It's hard though to sometimes tell the difference between someone who's just busting balls, which I love. I think that's a huge part. Like I love that part of fishing, like the ball busting. But it's sometimes hard to distinguish between the guys who just want to bust balls back and forth and the guys who genuinely just want to be douchebags.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, they just start talking to you like they know you. You don't know who they are. It's just a person from the internet, but they talk to you like, they're whatever.
I'm cool with that. I like that.
I get that. I was going to say, I get that often. I'll have, it's crazy how many people say like, dude, I know you don't know me, but I feel like I know you. And I'm like, good. Then I guess I'm doing something right. Especially in the podcast format. That's what you want, like I want to be your digital buddy, like that's sort of the goal.
Yeah. I want to ask one last question before we burn your entire night. I got to ask because we just recently saw the skateboard thing and that was really cool. I want to know more about that because
I've got Old School Outdoors coming on next month because someone mentioned them and I saw some of that episode. So they're gonna come on. I think next month, one of the Monday. Yeah.
Yeah, John is a very good guy. What do you want to know about skateboards? The whole backstory of how that came about.
The Cut and Retie skateboard that he made was just so cool. It was awesome.
Yeah. So the way that came about, and it's funny because neither one of us had any idea how this would go. Right. I've never made or sold a skateboard before, even though I didn't technically sell this one, but we'll get to that in a sec. So I did a merchandise drop a couple months ago back in the summer, and a buddy of mine, Jake Keeler from out in Minnesota, incredible artist, very, very heavy metal meets fishing. He's incredibly talented. We resurrected this old design of a skeleton, a hole in the large mouth, and he's dressed in like a gas station body shop attendant. He's got a name tag that says Larry, and Jake redrew my logo in his style. We made these T-shirts, and they sold out. Everybody really loved them, so they sold out really quick. We did a limited run. So I had known John over at Old School Outdoors, which is right across the river. I'm from New Jersey. I live in Pennsylvania now, but right across the river. And the first time I went in there, I was kind of blown away. First, I was like, man, that's pretty gutsy to open a brick and mortar bait and tackle shop in this day and age. And there's certainly a dearth of them here. All the ones I grew up with are long gone. There's nothing here but Walmart and Dick's Sporting Goods anymore.
Yeah.
So I popped into this shop just to see what it was about. And I went, oh my God, it is half fishing, half skateboarding. Now, I never really skateboarded, but I always really appreciated that culture. Like I always thought that the whole skate culture was very cool. So to make a long story short, we started chit-chatting, and I floated the idea months and months ago of like, let's do a collaboration deck, because unlike so many people that get custom skateboard made by uploading a graphic and having them all printed over in China or wherever, not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's very common these days. John Bullock over at Old School is legitimately one at a time hand pressing every single deck in the back of that tackle shop. Like his wood shop and press and tools and everything are in the back of this tackle shop. So every Old School skateboard you buy was made by him in that shop. He's a one-man band, which I thought made it exponentially cooler. So he agreed to this, and it took me a while to come up with the art. And then after that shirt sale, I was like, man, people really love that design. That would look sick as hell on a skateboard. So we did it, and we made exactly 100. And that was a big investment for him. I mean, that's a lot of skateboards for a single run, considering he's doing it himself. So the whole time he's like, "You sure about 100?" And I'm like, "I think so. I don't know, dude. Never tried to pedal a skate. I think people are gonna like him, John. I don't know." He's like, "No, it'll be fine." I thought, yeah, 100. That's good. And like he slaved like late nights to get those done. So I numbered and signed every one. He asked me to do that. I said, absolutely. And he sold them through his website, not mine. This mostly benefited the tackle shop, which is what I wanted. I mean, whatever stupid little thing I could do to support a mom and pop tackle shop that's trying to make it now, like I'm in. I buy bait and shiners there like all the time. I'm happy to have them. So finally drop day is coming and like I'm on pins and needles that morning. I'm like, oh God, please don't let this one fail. Well, my podcast drops on a Friday. By Monday morning, 100 boards sold, done, out the door. So he was thrilled, made a nice little chunk of change on that, and couldn't have been happier. So, but John's a really good dude, awesome. and ever since then he's been like, what else can we do? I'm like, we'll do more stuff. But I was thrilled. I was over the moon because I really didn't know, but I've been getting pictures nonstop since that drop. People are hanging in man caves and one guy's skating it, actually putting it out there on the pavement. So it was a really cool thing to do.
Yeah, I was going to say most guys I would imagine would just use it as a decoration like that one you have hanging behind you.
Yeah.
I guess some guys maybe he bought two, so one to ride and one to
multiple people
off.
Did just that, believe it or not, bought
that
two.
Yeah, I definitely believe
and what was cool about it is, we didn't upcharge. We didn't make them like they were $70, which is about the going rate for a new skateboard deck, especially from a smaller company like that where he's actually making the decks. So it's not like we were like, oh, limited run, $200. Like, no, we made him the same price as all his other decks. So a lot of people did buy two. So I was, can that lightning strike twice? Don't know. But once, man, it felt so good. I was like, oh, I was so happy because I know he was nervous, awesome. But we crushed it. And he did a beautiful job with them.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Joe, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on here and talk to us, man.
Yeah, guys.
It'd be really great someday to get out fishing with you. We do have video cameras, so we could do it for you. And we don't follow any rules either, really.
You come all the way down here to South Jersey? I mean, that's pretty far.
Well, we want check this out. Joe, check this out. So Joe Santiago, the other Joe, he hasn't caught his first snakehead yet.
Mm-hmm.
I've been talking about it for a while.
Yeah.
I've gone a couple of times. I've caught a few, but I mean, by no stretch of the imagination am I some kind of, advanced angler at snakehead fishing. Like, could I go down?
So,
but obviously it's one of your favorite fish. Probably a little late for this season, but
I was gonna say we can arrange that for sure. It's gonna be a next season deal. It's funny. I'm pulling my hair out because I had an amazing snakehead season, amazing this year, but like I still just need one freaking more. Like I want one more nice one before she's done for the year. And I don't know what happened. Like the last 3 times, including today, they're way back up in this flooded grass. I can get the bites, but I can't land them. And it's like I went from 60 to just like 0 this month. So. Next season, because this season is winding down. These cold nights are not helping. There's still some windows, but you guys know early fall, late summer fishing. That's exactly what it is. It's like there's like the windows just get smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah, freshwater fish do not like transition periods. You learn that pretty quickly in most of them.
Joe, real quick, where's the best place for everyone to find your stuff? Where do they listen to Cut and Retie?
Sure. Cut and Retie is on pretty much every platform. Apple, Spotify. I think it's on YouTube. It was Google. Now it's YouTube. But you name it, it's out there. So you can find that.
Is it on YouTube? Because I know one of the questions we got actually asked if they didn't find it on YouTube, I don't think, because they were asking if Cut and Retie was ever going to go on YouTube.
I thought Google Music was transitioning to YouTube Music when Google Podcast shut down. But if they're asking about video, no, I shoot some clips, just to promo on social. That's a whole other can of worms. But no, I don't film entire episodes and post them on YouTube.
But the audio podcast is on YouTube Music, you're saying?
I think it's on YouTube Music. I have to check with my sound guy. I got a Deuce too, Magic Mike. So my Magic Mike handles all that.
Let me ask you this: Can Magic Mike tell the difference between a bass and a trout?
Yeah, absolutely. Why?
Yeah, because Deuce can't.
He can't swim either.
Doesn't know anything. Won't go near a boat.
Oh man. Magic Mike is from British Columbia. Magic Mike is coming out in a few weeks for his first East Coast of the U.S. visit, his first pork roll, hopefully his first striper. He is more of a hunter than an angler, but yes, he can tell the difference between a bass and a trout for sure.
You're one step ahead of us.
The best place to follow the social media for Cut Retie is the Instagram. Joe.
Yeah, that's just me at Joe Cermele 138. Yep,
awesome. Joe, thank you so much for coming on here. I am going to annoy the shit out of you now about snakehead fishing next year.
That's fine. You can ask all the questions you want. Just don't ask me where. I'll take you there when it's time.
Okay.
Can we blindfold them before we bring them?
Sure. Whatever you want. Whatever you guys are into. So.
We're into it.
Hours again.
Joe, let me just say one last thing.
I hate Lancaster.
What? What'd you say?
I said I hate Lancaster.
Yeah.
One last thing before you go, Joe. What I think is one of the coolest things about everything you've done is your career is in the fishing industry in one way or another for all this time, and you clearly have not lost an ounce of that love for fishing that you would have even if you were doing it as just your hobby or lifestyle with not as a career.
I know a lot of people in this industry who have done just that. You know, they say if you make this work, if you make this your job, you'll fall out of love with it. Luckily, you know, the truth behind that, despite what it may look like on social media or content or whatever, people have this notion that I fish like 4 out of 5 days a week. Dude, no. Like, my time is strapped too. I spend more time in front of a microphone and a computer than anywhere else, day in and day out. So, like, even though I run my own schedule now, like, I still pine. I'm like, I shouldn't do this. I should. So I am still stoked to sneak out any chance I can get. And with a growing, you know, with the family and little kids, even more so now than ever. You know, I rarely fish on weekends because I feel bad. That's my time to be home with my kids. So, you know, I have not lost an ounce of love for fishing. I'm still as excited about all of it. And even more so now, it's funny how kids make you like get really jacked up on stock trout and bluegills again. Like, who cared for years? Now I'm like, let's go, dude. Like, yeah, you know, going crazy. Yeah. So, no. And if I ever fall out of love with it, that's when I know I'm done. You know, like if I ever get to a point where I'm like, I don't really feel like fishing at all anymore, that's when you call it quits. But hopefully we won't get there. I don't see that. But yeah, man, like I still enjoy every trip because I am sneaking out, you know, here and there. I'm not on the water 5 days a week. I wish I was.
Hey, I mean, look, I don't know how old your kids are, but I'm sure they'll be old enough shortly that they'll be able to go with you more and you know. It can only get better.
No, they're 9 and 6. My daughter is 9. She's an outdoors kid, not super into fishing. That's fine. Proud dad moment. I haven't even brought this up on my own podcast yet. You guys will hear it first. Proud dad gloat moment 2 days ago, prior to recording this. I took the kid 22 miles off from mahi, and he loved every minute of it. Hammered chicken mahis all day, rode in the bean bag, didn't complain about a thing. Like, could not have been more stoked. Could not have been more. That was like, awesome. Damn. All right. I didn't catch a mahi till I was 18, probably. So dude, he's 6 and already been out far enough where he can't see land.
2 weeks ago.
Your 6-year-old is about 34 years past where Joe was. I mean,
yeah. No, he's a tough kid. So I just kind of throw him into the fire. Like, all right, you want to catch a mahi? All right, let's go. 20. Can you do an hour on the boat? Yeah. So, you know, you give him a pack of Sour Patch Kids, throw him in a beanbag. He was loving it. It was great.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Joe, thank you so much, man, for coming on here. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Anytime.
Yeah, dude. We're going to stay in touch. We got to fish.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Take easy.
Take care, bud.
Yep. You too.
Yeah. So Joe Cermele, like I said, he's pretty cool. Basically an inspiration for what we do here. He did this before we did. He actually pulled it off successfully.
I don't even want to compare us to him really, because he's.
No, we can't. I mean, but he is an example of someone that is doing this and pulled it off. He's pulled it off for a very, very long time.
And like I said, he kind of he quells my one biggest fear about this whole thing, is that we're gonna do this and it's going to like destroy your love of fishing, which it hasn't yet, but it was a definite fear of me.
It's annoying. It's just annoying. The most annoying part is the editing the videos. Like if you told me I didn't have to make fishing videos anymore, this would be 1,000 times easier. But I feel like people really like the fishing videos. Like,
can we outsource it?
Nah, I like Made in the USA. I'll do it myself. Like people were coming up to me at the RVTA thing saying, "Oh, I really love seeing the Chuck Manny shit. I'll probably never get on that boat, but I get to watch the videos." They like to actually watch the videos. Like Joe Cermele just said, I can't believe people like to still watch this shit, but they actually do.
And you know what, dude? Like it has nothing to do with us. Like people think, and some people do stuff like this for their own glout or whatever you want to call it. Like,
no, I don't want glout. I want to go watch Monday Night Football right now. I don't want to do this at all.
Yeah, like I want people to interact. I want to be part of a community. I want to enhance that community. That's why I post stuff. Like I want people to talk to me about it. I like talking about fishing. I like sharing fishing stuff because I like fishing stuff shared with me. So it's like a two-way road.
I really like that point that he said about he'd rather have 100 people in the room that actually care than 10 million that don't care.
Exactly.
And he also said, if every episode that he does every week only brings him 1 or 2 or 3 followers, that's just the way it is. It's just a grind.
Dude, I don't know what the average of the episode, it depends on what the episode is about, how many people watch it, but I would say like a minimum of 160 to 170 people watch the lower watched episodes, all the way up to, over 1,000 people are watching episodes like the fluke fishing episode with Roger I and the Ted Nugent episode. And
or if I just say it's about bass.
The Justin Lerner episode, about 1,000, I think. Like, so ranging anywhere from between a little bit under 200 to over 1,000, that's plenty. Dude, if 150 people or 100 people liked tuning in every week and listening to whoever the guest is or whatever, us just fight like an old married couple or whatever, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with you. It's New Jersey fishing. I mean, you're not going to get 10 million followers on a New Jersey fishing podcast.
It just doesn't matter. I mean, like, look, if like Max and his grandma were the only 2 people watching the show every week, would I be doing it? No.
Why? Max's grandma's cool.
Have you met her for real?
No, but anyone's cooler than Max. Moving on, though, we talked about the RVTA thing. After the RVTA Veterans Appreciation Tournament was over, we had to head right over to the NJFishing.com Madness Pig Roast. The pig roast was run by Jerry Zagorski, Fast Eddie, and Mike K. The food was unbelievable. Everybody brought something. We had hot dogs, giant roasted pig. Jason Uhas brought potato salad. Max brought macaroni salad. People brought everything. I got to meet a bunch of people from Mayhem that I never met before. I got to talk to Walter Hewitt in person. I got to talk to Lard Almighty. I'd never met him in person.
Really?
So that was really fun.
You didn't used to go to the old school NJ fishing Christmas parties like the pre-COVID ones.
No, and I met James Mascola. A lot of people in person I never met before, and then a lot of people I have met before, but I actually got to sit there and talk. And we got to all hang out in a gazebo and give out prizes, and that was awesome too. A lot of people posting online. Where was my invite? This thing's been posted online more than the presidential election. Fast Eddie's been posting a video every week for the past month. So I don't understand how people don't see this shit. If you want to go, you have to say you want to go. But yeah, NJF.com, Jerry Zagorski, phenomenal job on the pig roast. Me and my wife had a great time there. I think everyone did. Hope to have many more of that. I think Fast Eddie, when he's done working on the house he's working on, he'll be getting a Striper meet and greet going, which he does every year. So if you want to go to the Striper meet and greet, keep an eye out for Fast Eddie's post on a Striper meet and greet, because everyone's invited again who sees the post.
Yeah, like let me put it this way. Like that's the one of the other annoying things. Do we
have the next guest ready? But I'm sorry to cut
No, not yet. We need a minute. But okay. The one of the other annoying things about social media is, so we post something and like, I don't know what kind of algorithms these things run that pick and choose who sees what, but it's like, I feel responsible. Like I feel like we're responsible when someone doesn't know about something, even though we posted it. You know, we probably posted it half a dozen times. Fast Eddie posted it twice that many times.
It doesn't work.
And the best advice I can give to someone, if you really don't want to miss stuff like this, you have to obviously follow us, follow njfishing.com, follow guys like Fast Eddie, which is Edward Payne, Mike K's guide service. If Mikey K's running anything, they're both going to post it. They usually work together to do this stuff. You need to follow all these guys, right? And you also need to, I guess, on Instagram, it would be save some of the posts. You have to click that button that saves it, and interact with the posts, like the stuff, double click it, put the heart on it, put the thumbs up on it, whatever, write a comment, so that these stupid social media apps, you get past this algorithm and they actually show you the stuff that you want to see. It's the only way to get around it.
And just to actually throw it out there too, like the RVTA thing, even if you weren't fishing, there was people that just showed up at 12 o'clock to watch the weigh-in, see the veterans weigh their fish in. So even if you're kind of not an angler, you're just more of an outdoors person and you just curious, want to be a spectator or just come hang out, you could do that too. You don't actually have to fish. And then the pig roast was the same thing. If you didn't register online, Fast Eddie made an option that you could show up in person and just pay $10 and get in. But yeah, it was a good turnout, good prizes, good food. I think we're going to cut now, and we're going to get our next guest.
We got a little bit of a issue here getting him in.
Yeah, cut it, because I talked to Eddie Mackin the other day. He went out with John Fallon, like you saw the pictures. Mackin's kind of disappeared into the woods now. He's getting tree stands ready, getting ready for hunting season. But he is still fishing. He does have a very, very hot bite on the hybrid striped bass. We have Yellow Dog Paddle down doing the trout fishing on Round Valley. His striper bite kind of died out on him because of a couple environmental causes. But Mackin and Lake Apacon's hybrid striper fishing continues to be great. Also, the white perch fishing is absolutely ridiculous. They're having up to 200 fish days. If you have kids that want to get on a pontoon boat and just want to bend over ultralight rods all day, these white perch trips are unbelievable. Also, if you're looking to put some fish in the frying pan, these white perch are unbelievable fish to fry up.
Can you fry them up with a little any chicken livers you got left over?
Well, yeah, chicken liver is a good bait. It's probably what Eddie's fishing with right now. But yeah, Mackin's ripping lips fishing trips. Call him as soon as you can, because that fall hybrid bite is really starting to heat up right now. And like I said, the white perch bite, he could probably even spend a few hours on each if you want to do a combo trip. Also, the red eye trips are still running if you're by yourself. Give me 10.
Deuce,
So I talked to Chris Lito. The Gambler has had much better fluke fishing the past few days. If you're looking to jump on one last fluke charter before the season ends, Gamblers had a couple really good days. They had one, if you saw their picture the other day, they had a 7.3 pound, a 5.8 pound, a 6.4 pound. Joey had an 8.2 pounder. They're going to start going for Mahi Mahi and Bonito. The 25th is going to be the first real canyon trip for the Gambler. So if you're interested in running to the canyon for tuna, the 25th on the Gambler.
Dude, I'd be all over one last fluke trip if we weren't heading to upstate New York this weekend. But
I would too. And if you honestly have nothing to do and you do have a shot at a fluke trip, to try to get on the Gambler because he does have for this.
Go for us.
Our next guest now is Pete G from Pete's Elite Fishing. Pete is an up-and-comer content creator. Pete, Pete, welcome first to the NJMSP Species Podcast. We just had Joe Cermele, the host of Cut Retie Podcast, who basically started as just a guy with a fishing pole and a camcorder, and he now has gone through a very long cycle through the professional fishing industry. So he's an example of that. It is possible to pull off. Now you're coming on. You're a guy that's just starting out as a content creator, correct?
100%. Yeah, just started my page 4 months ago, and I see that there's opportunity there. So, if gentlemen like Joe can go ahead and do it, then with all the technology and stuff we got going on, I just sent it, and it's been going good.
So far it's working out.
Yeah, got 900 followers. 4 months, friends and family supporting, growing friends. It's good. It's real good.
I think it's pretty cool. Like, obviously, I mean, Joe and I are pretty old. We didn't grow up with social media. So I didn't grow up fishing even. I don't know. I've said it before. I don't know if you ever heard me say it, but
he was doing karaoke.
That's cool.
That's bullshit. I was a professional wrestler.
Amateur.
You were?
Yeah.
I was a big wrestler in college. High school.
Yeah, I got paid anywhere from $10 to $100 to get beaten with chairs for 10 minutes. It was great. Cool. No, but my point is, like, you're coming into fishing in a whole different aspect, right? Like when I started fishing, I don't even think I was 20 something. It was probably 2006, 2007, 2008, something around that. So like social media was there, but it wasn't as big. And I don't remember, like I'd go fishing and I didn't post my fish pictures anywhere. Mm-hmm. I'd still take the pictures. I'd show my friends.
Yeah.
Now you take a fishing picture and show all your friends at the same time, plus 1,000, 10,000 other people that you don't even know.
Yeah. It's cool. And, I've been fishing my whole life too, but it's, like as a teenager, you could always just post your pictures and everybody just sees it on your story or whatever.
So like what exactly is your goal with this? Like do you want to build something that one day transforms into a way that you can make money, like to the point where you don't need another job?
Yeah, that's the goal. Obviously, that's not plan A. I'm still going to college and, I do have a career on the side, but, might as well, like fishing's my biggest passion. And if other people can go ahead and do it, I feel like I can. I got that edge. I got that focus. And definitely if I could make money out of it and, have a community, help the kids, spread, knowledge, I'm all for it. I like to show like that fishing is so fun. These fish are so beautiful, respect the fish and just spread the good stuff,
And like some guys, like a lot of the older guys, they probably give you a hard time if they're not yet. I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
And I guess what I'd say to that is, why? Like, why do guys have a problem with the younger generation using social media paired up with fishing, right?
Yeah, we're pretty much the new generation. We're coming in. We're the new breed, you know what I'm saying? And I kind of want to set the tone and try to do things the right way.
And I mean, yeah, and on the surface, I guess they'll see a post and they'll see you guys getting all hyped up over a fish or something, and the go-to response, I guess, is to just kind of like, oh, they're just messing around, they're just doing this for the, to see how many likes they could get, see how many followers they could get. And I don't know you, but I've got to assume that's not why you're doing it. Obviously, you wouldn't be that passionate about it if it was. And I get how it does come off like that to some people.
Yeah.
But in the end, right, it's just another aspect. It is what it is. Like, we live in it. It's 2024. Like,
yep, we're in the
that's
future.
the world. The technology has gotten to where it's gotten. And it's you can't make it go away. You can't pretend it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So why not try to take advantage of it? Why not try to spread that love of fishing? I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Joe? Like, I don't have a problem with younger guys as long as they're doing it for the right reason, which unless they prove otherwise that they're not, I have no reason to think they are.
I think he's gone, but I'll continue with that. I have no problem with it as long as there's no trespassing or cheating or misinformation, lying, because I do feel like there is a lot of that shit that comes from his generation. I'm not saying particularly you, Pete, but there are a lot of guys that will trespass, they will lie, they will fake locations just to get more viewers. We've never done that once. I think it kind of adds to our legitimacy, and I'm proud of it.
Yeah, it's like you saying you catch like a 2-foot brown trout, and you say, "Oh, I caught it in New Jersey," but in reality, you caught it in PA. Yeah, and I really don't like that.
Property or trespassing. I think that goes on a lot with some of the younger stuff, but I don't think you've done that or we've seen that because it's pretty blatantly obvious half the shit anyway.
Yeah, if you're a seasoned guy, if you know the waters, if you know the game, you can call bullshit from a mile away.
But you definitely have to learn to deal with trolls because
I haven't had too many bad ones. Only a couple on my one big post that got like 15,000 views. One guy was like, "Have you ever caught a fish before?" And I said, "Check my page out. I've been fishing for a while. I've caught plenty of fish."
Yeah, half the time they're not even worth the time to answer. All right. So where is before we go? Where's the best place before you go blurry and vanish again? Where's the best place everyone can find Pete, follow Pete, and watch Pete's content?
So the best place is Instagram. That's where I have the most following. My link for my YouTube is in my bio, and trust me, if you follow me, you'll be getting good content, good stuff. Always respecting the fish, having some class out there. And pretty much my Instagram, Pete's.EliteFishing.
And we do see you put some of your stuff on our page and stuff. You're always welcome to do that as well. And
Facebook, yep.
I mean, I'm all in, dude. Like, as long as you stay true to like, and this goes for any young guys starting to fish that want to use social media to try to kind of turn it into something that can maybe get them some money or some.
What's that? He's showing us a lure.
I don't know.
I'm ready for these stripers. This is hanging off my mirror.
This guy's ready to go.
Dude, if he's got lures hanging from his mirrors in his car, he's all right.
He's ready. All right. Pete, thank you so much for taking the time to come on.
You got to get on another call. You're welcome, guys.
You got to take a call? All right. Pete's got to take a call. Thank you, Pete.
No. I was saying we got to get on another call.
We'll definitely
another
do another
episode.
podcast. We should do fishing too. We'll try to get out fishing together and make some videos.
I'd love to get my first big pike. I don't have one over 30.
That's Chris's department.
That season is changing, but anyway, I just want to say real quick, because we only had you on for a little bit, and what happened was we had Joe Cermele, who's obviously super busy, and we've been trying to hook up with him and get him on, and he was finally able to do one day, and it was the same day that we had scheduled Pete on, unfortunately, and so he kind of had to split the episode with you, so he couldn't give you as much time, obviously, but like I told you before, you're more than welcome to come on again. I didn't want to push you all the way back into November right off the bat. I want to at least let you come on, talk with you for a little bit. And, but we can definitely get you on at a later time. We'll set up something else. And,
keep on pushing, Pete. Keep pushing.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. I really appreciate the support. I'm going to keep pushing, and hopefully we'll get on some big fish these next couple of weeks.
Thanks, man,
dude,
for coming
just
on here.
Stay true to the fishing part, and I think you'll be all right.
Thanks.
It's all good.
Appreciate it.
Later, man.
All right, we'll fish. Hit me up. We'll get some lines in the water together.
All right, stay in touch, man. All right.
Take care. Say hi to Scott Tarnowski for me.
I will.
All right. Bye.
Speaking actually of Scott Tarnowski, I actually talked to him today. They're talking about maybe 2 more weeks. He might be getting out of the hospital.
Really?
Yeah, he might be getting out 2 weeks from now.
That's good. I mean, so obviously then he's doing better in some capacity.
Not that he's doing better, but he's going through the process. I guess you could put it that way. And the process is almost over.
It's relative, obviously, but he's doing.
He'll be
getting
going
along
into
someone.
He'll be going into rehabs.
He's not dead.
He isn't dead. No, I keep texting him, "Are you dead?" Like that's what I send him every day. You dead yet? I heard you died again. He never dead.
I haven't been able to get a response from him, but so I don't want to keep bothering him. But I texted him a couple times.
I think Pete is stuck in the podcast, Deuce.
Peter, you still there?
Yeah, he's stuck.
Yeah, I'm saying bye. I was just listening.
Send an agent in. But yeah, 2 weeks. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Scott Tarnowski will finally be coming home. Who is next week's guest, Chris? Deuce is sleeping now. Okay, there he is. He's awake.
All right. So next week we've got your buddy Taylor Stewart.
Taylor Stewart, outlaw fishing,
forward.
FFS bass fishing glide bait extraordinaire.
Now, I have to confirm 100%, but he said
he's coming.
Well,
I think
he didn't completely confirm it yet.
If he's not busy, he's coming on.
I mean, if he doesn't come on, what do we do? Do we just like bash bass fishing and FFS the whole episode?
We'll just make fun of him until he comes on another episode. If you're watching this episode, me and Chris left last night for Salmon River, so we're in Pulaski right now while you're watching this. Hopefully, we're catching fish. We will have a report from Salmon River on Monday when we get back. Hopefully, you'll be seeing videos of us catching something.
Yeah, you're pretty much terrified that the conditions up there are on the down.
I think they are. Listen, I think personally, from what we saw last week, are we going to see that? No, we missed that. That's gone. Someone's going to see that in a few weeks, but it's not going to be us, unfortunately. It's just the way it goes. I think we'll see some fish, though. The temperature's supposed to drop back off. There's a little rain in the forecast, not much, but it's going to get colder. But yeah, the monster epic run that everyone said they were seeing, the most fish I've ever seen in September a week or two ago, that's not there anymore. The bottom of the river reports are actually shitty. The upper river reports are fairly good, but today's Monday. I'd have to imagine by the time we get up there, that upper river report will have changed a lot. Depending on what comes in, it always depends on what's coming in from the bottom. When you're planning those trips, If the bottom of the river is loaded on Monday and you're going up Thursday and your hotel's at the top, I mean, you're going to hit it. But if the top of the river is loaded on Monday and you're going Friday, they'll be gone by the time you get there. So it's just always a gamble when you fish a run. But I have confidence there'll at least be fish to play with.
Yeah, I mean, I've only been doing this for 2 years. This is only going to be my third season up there. So I'm only so experienced doing it, compared to most of these other guys, including you.
Let me ask something. Have you ever looked into the river and it would be harder to not catch one than to catch one?
No.
Okay, so you've never actually been there when it's like full blown run, because when the run's on, which it lasts the main run, I would say it lasts 10 days.
Now let me ask you this: if it's really like if you're looking in the water and seeing nothing but salmon, you literally like just hook one every cast. Does it get stupid?
I've had days where I'm back. We're back at the lodge at 11, eating lunch, laughing, and the day's over. We're just hanging out, relaxing on vacation the rest of the day. You already hooked 100. I mean, it gets ridiculous. Yeah.
Like before we sign off here, I gotta say this. Like the first time I ever did this, the very first day, and I don't know if I ever even told Maddie this. Like the first day I ever did this, I thought it was the stupidest thing that I had ever done.
It's a learning curve.
Like I went up there. It wasn't because I caught a couple of fish. Like guys had to help me, like explain it to me, tell me exactly what to do. I started getting the hang of it. I hooked a couple of fish, caught a couple of fish. But at the end of the day, I sat there and I'm like, oh my God, I'm stuck here for 3 more days doing this. Like, I don't ever need to do this again in my life. That was stupid. But
I love it.
The second day, right? I'm doing it more and whatever, and I'm doing it more myself. I don't need as much help at that point. And I start, like, the best way to explain it is I start like accepting it for what it is. It's not like any other kind of fishing. It's not like you're going trout fishing. It's not
hunting. It's like hunting with a fishing pole.
That's a good way to put it. It's like it's more like hunting. Like it's more like, because let's be honest, like you call it flossing. Basically, you're purposely snagging the fish in his mouth. Is that an accurate description?
Well, a snagged fish in its mouth isn't snagged.
Right. Okay. So,
all right. So
basically,
whatever.
My point is, if there's anyone listening to this that has never tried it, I do highly recommend you do try it at some point. Like I think it's something that every angler should try.
Even if you don't fish, it's cool to go up there and just see it. You could just put a folding chair up and just watch the fishermen fight fish. It's just cool to watch it.
And like I know a lot of the guys' fears is that you're going to be fishing shoulder to shoulder with a bunch of asswads and it's going to be annoying. And my advice for that is, well, go to a lodge that's right on the river. I mean, obviously you got to book it way ahead of time, but
a lodge with the salmon river is becoming very privatized, and there's being a lot of private property bought up on the river to the point where eventually probably the whole river is going to become like privatized and you'll just be fishing at the hotel you're staying at.
And you know what? I mean, it kind of sucks, but if it keeps the guys that don't respect the fishery out of there, then it's almost a good thing. You know what I mean?
All right. Well, we're going to go watch Monday Night Football. We're going salmon fishing. We'll be back Monday night to see how that is with Taylor Stewart, hopefully. Good night, everyone.
Keep suffering for the fish.
Oh, yeah.